market performance. I'll start with saying bro vote, to me, I don't think is coming from a good place, by the way. I don't think...
We got to talk about that.
Defining it as bro vote, I see is
what does that mean? What does bro vote mean?
To me, I see it as a way of diminishing what resonates with young men. And I think it's a continuation of a very overt, intentional strategy of bringing down young men.
I don't get that.
Blaming them. Bro is, to me, it's
Oh, you think it's a pejorative?
Oh, yeah. I think it's a pejorative.
Okay.
And I'm okay with it.
Sure.
I don't see who's called bros. I get called that. I'm 54 years old, and
I see. So you think when people label that, they're trying to use it as a...
Oh, yeah.
Because
it's never one of them.
I got it. So when they say these bro podcasts he's going on, almost like, why would you waste your time getting on this podcast? I got it.
And it's a disrespect. It's an extension of how people in the media, not to speak for a whole group, obviously.
I think you're right. Yeah.
But you never hear anything good about Joe Rogan except his reach. Now, do I see Rogan as any kind of functional equivalent to either of you guys? No, because you're thought leaders. I may not agree with your thoughts. I may not, I may not want to echo your thoughts, but you're thought leaders. Joe has an amazing platform that you got to give him credit for having, where he has guys like you on it. That's the appeal. His audience is not independents. His audience breaks right, and that's fine. That's fine. But to be a pejorative and say these bros, like somehow it's bad to have young men wanting to vote for you, I think is a mistake. Trump did what you're supposed to do. He went everywhere. So should have Harris. Was Rogan going to be the same situation for her as for him? No. But that's the way it is. When Donald Trump at some point decides to come on News Nation and sit down, it's not going to be like he's sitting down with Newsmax or Fox News. But you take it. The audience gets where you are.
He'll love it, though. That's the thing. He likes to be challenged if it's done from a good place in good faith.
Was he invited?
Oh, yeah.
No, as long as it's not
all
cheap.
The time.
If it's not cheap shots, though, he likes it.
I agree. Although he likes to deliver a cheap shot. By the way,
fair enough. But I think you'd do a good job if you came from a perspective of you want to make sure the American people have clarity on what he believes.
Right. My point is, look, I think he needs to sit down. Here's my feeling about it. Okay, let's move on. The Democrats have to process. The Republicans had to process in the midterms. Process. Figure it out. Figure out what you want. Don't get overwhelmed with blaming things as some kind of battle of agendas, which is what the left is doing. But that's their problem. We have to be focused forward. Trump should be talking about what he's going to do all the time.
Can I stay on this topic? I want to stay on this topic. And
sure.
I want to get your expertise on this topic. So the reason why I'm talking young voters, and we're staying here with the young voters topic, is I watch, Super Bowl. Like right now, it pisses me off that Cincinnati Bengals are 3-5. And they've lost most of their games by less than a touchdown, whatever. 35-34. Tom tells me their cornerbacks suck, and I'm like, okay, he's a number one quarterback right now in yardage, touchdown to interception. I think he's number one or number two in that. But they're 3-5. And they're not, the way they're playing right now, they're not going to do anything major. Now, in NFL, you could still make it to the playoffs and you could still be formidable later on. It's all about momentum. But one could watch a game and it could say, well, the differentiator in 2024 is XYZ. It's the running game. It's this. NBA, Cleveland Cavs are off to a 12-0 record. It doesn't matter when it comes down to the playoffs. In politics right now, a lot of events happened last 12 months. I remember a year and a half ago, I'm bringing guests here, and we're having different conversations. And a lot of people were still DeSantis. Mm-hmm. They were even uncomfortable to be pro-Trump. Mm-hmm. I would go to events, and guys were kind of like, whoa, you got to be comfortable. Don't be too pro-Trump because you're even losing the conservative vote. This was about a year and a half, 2 years ago that was happening. So you had to kind of be like, relax a little bit when you're being too.
Yeah, in primary mode.
Bring it down a little bit, right? But then in the last 12 months, specifically, if this is a sport in the last 12 months to both of you guys, what would you say were the defining moment where it flipped? And by the way, I'd like to see one from both of you guys, but also reasons. For example, Bobby's walkout. Okay?
We hosted that event.
I remember that. That was turning point.
Phoenix.
I remember. Was it an Amphist or was it a?
No, but come on, if you see those kind of pyrotechnics, you know who's
Your
doing
AV
it.
is insane. Yeah. So, but
That doesn't come ex nihilo. That's
well, you
come on, Pat. You know that's a
you
turning point.
realize we've been in the business of doing events for a while, and I would expect nothing less from a guy like you. I've been at your event. I see you in the back. The guy works like 24/7 at his event, running the whole show. He's phenomenal. But Bobby coming out, that alliance, Tulsi, Musk coming out, Musk's 2.1 billion impression on X, Rogan's podcast, assassination attempt, the younger voter going out there getting the TikTok folks. If you were to say a few of the events in 2024 that led to Trump making the greatest comeback of all time, what would you say that was?
I have to pick a couple. The first of which was Elon Musk's purchasing of Twitter. And I believe that for many reasons, because it allowed for...
You put that as one?
Yes.
I think I agree. I agree.
Yeah. I do. And the reason being is that you saw a national popular vote tilt a certain way, which is indicative that the entire country is consuming information differently.
Right.
This was not just a regional tilt. It's not just that Trump ran a better campaign in Pennsylvania, which he did. It's not just that we chased more votes in Arizona, which we did. It's that the whole country is consuming information that makes them view things differently. Mm-hmm. Now, you could say, oh, because it's inflation, all that. Sort of. But national public polling shows that there was this moment where the country started to care more about immigration. The country started to care more about what's happening in Ukraine. Public attitudes were changing, and I believe that is because we had a platform that finally allowed freedom of speech, because all the other ones were clamping down on it. So I think that's number one. And then number two, I think it would be the indictments of Donald Trump, starting which when the Rubicon was crossed, when Alvin Bragg indicted Donald Trump in New York for this ridiculous, just concocted pile of garbage that no one could explain. And Donald Trump was then viewed correctly as a martyr by his supporters and a sympathetic figure to the people who couldn't afford groceries. And for a regular person, the equation, the formula is built. I can't afford stuff that I used to, and the guy I've been told to hate is now facing prison time. That doesn't make sense to me. And so then what happened is that regular everyday people would go turn on the networks. They say, okay, help me understand this, MSNBC. Help me, because a lot of people would give the benefit of the doubt. They said, okay, and they heard nothing but he's a Nazi, he's a threat to democracy, and he must be locked up. And regular people didn't buy that. And then where did they go, PBD? X, to Twitter. And they saw a different story. And so I could keep on going. And then finally, the day, what day did Elon Musk endorse Donald Trump? July 13th, the day that Donald Trump got shot in Butler, Pennsylvania. And I believe the hand of God was on Donald Trump. I really do. I believe that it was 1 millimeter that, saved his life. But then Elon Musk going all in. You know this. I mean, I'm read Elon's book, the Walter Isaacson one. It's unbelievable. He's like a laser beam. When Tesla's not hitting its objectives, he sleeps on the floor of the Tesla factory, the Gigafactory, until it's done. If the rockets aren't getting up on time, he dedicates his whole life. If he wants Donald Trump to go to the White House, what did he do? He lived in Pennsylvania for 45 days straight and dedicated his fortune, his time, his energy like a laser beam. Nothing else mattered. And when you had that kind of focus from obviously the highest capacity person on the planet, coupled with Donald Trump, you're talking about a force multiplier, the likes of which that literally, in my opinion, saved civilization.
Chris, what would you say?
I like the phrase force multiplier. That's absolutely what social media is. I agree with your analysis about people using social media as much as any media now. Now, there's a problem with that because social media is not as reliable on a lot of levels. Independent media depends on the outlet, what the vetting is, what the structure is. But yes, that was a big factor. The social media component of the dialogue is very important. Chris Wallace leaving CNN to go start a podcast, and like people saying, "Oh, this is a watershed moment." Well, no, it is. It depends what he does with his podcast.
And by the way, he's probably not going to do very well.
But I'm saying, right, because it could fade into, because what it has done very well, fringe and dissenting voices have done very well.